Man, there's so many options when it comes to running shoes. Have you noticed that yet? You just want to figure out what the best shoe for you is. All right, let's have a look. I'll show you what to look for. These are my Asics GT 1000s. They're my personal favorite pair of running shoes, and they're my favorite pair for a variety of reasons, but a number of those reasons I'm going to speak to you about today, which is going to help you clarify exactly what you need in a running shoe. So first and foremost, I've got quite a narrow foot. These shoes, they're quite narrow. They're also a really snug fit. This particular shoe's got a little bit of arch support through here, which really suits my flat feet. So I tell you that just as a start point to get you guys thinking about what exactly you might need in a pair of shoes. If you haven't been running long, or you've never been to a podiatrist or like a local sports shop that fit people out for their running shoes, what might be really helpful for you is to head into a place that you know looks at your foot type, because your foot type is going to dictate exactly what kind of shoe you need. Some people have quite flat feet like myself, some people have like a little bit of an arch, and some people have like a really solid arch. So your first step should be go down to one of these local places. You shouldn't have to pay for it. Get sized up, get fitted out, get them to take a look at your foot type and recommend a particular shoe based on the sole of your foot. Obviously the sole of your foot's not the only thing that they're going to be looking at. They're also going to be looking at a number of other things, and obviously you want to avoid getting blisters in any way possible if you can. So once you've got your particular foot type sorted out, the next thing you want to look at is the width of shoes. Okay, so you might have quite a wide foot, you might have quite a narrow foot like myself, maybe you're somewhere in between. You're going to want to try and find a shoe which is really quite snug to your foot, not to an extent that it's just going to rub up against you as you run and cause blisters and things, but you want to have a bit of an idea that your feet aren't too wide for that shoe. How do you do it? Well, just like we all know quite well, when you're getting sized up for a shoe, you'll put it on, and often the person sizing you up will push around your toe to see how much room you have there. You can do something fairly similar for the width of the shoe. So let me explain that to you now. Take out the insole from the shoe, all right, and just place that on the floor. All right, so here's what you want to look for with the sole of the shoe. Once you've taken it out, you can just put your foot on top of that. Pretty quickly, you can see that I've got plenty of room at the end of the shoe, so my feet or my toes aren't going to be all rubbed up against the end of my shoe, causing blisters there. But what you can also see is my feet are a perfect snug fit for the width of these shoes, probably right on the borderline. You really want to avoid having too much of your foot hanging over the side here, because that means it's just going to be going into the wall or into the sides of your shoes, and if it starts doing that, then it's a bit of a recipe for disaster when it comes to blisters and things. So step one, if you think you found a shoe and you're not 100% sure if it's the right fit for you, take the sole of it out and just do this little test. Make sure the width is okay and the length of okay. I'm about the perfect example of the limits of width with this particular sole. If it's just a training shoe that you're after, you can have something with a little bit more weight behind it. You're not trying to save precious seconds by getting something super light. So depending on the shape of your foot, it can dictate how much weight you need in your shoe. Once you start looking into particular racing shoes, you can have a little bit more flexibility. Assuming you're only going to be in it for half an hour to an hour, the amount of support going through that shoe isn't super essential. The reason for that is you're not going to be running in it day in and day out, so the amount of support that you're going to be required from those particular shoes isn't something to stress too much about. So for your day-to-day runs, you're going to have something a little bit more durable, a little bit more solid, a little bit more sturdy to protect you, because they're the shoes that most of your miles are going to get run in. The other little trick I'm going to tell you, especially for people who might really struggle with blisters out there, is to make sure you get yourself a good quality pair of socks, because you might go through this test and you've got the perfect width of feet for your shoe, you've got the perfect length of foot for your particular shoe, and for some reason you're still struggling with blisters. There's a lot of different reasons why people get blisters, but one of the big ones is purely the quality of the socks that you're running in. So I know Steigen are a really good sock brand, which are really popular amongst a lot of distance runners around here in Melbourne. The reason for that is they've got like a very thin kind of a sock, and it just doesn't allow for as much friction. It's really good solid material, and just helps your feet sink nicely into the shoes without just constantly rubbing up against and sliding between the back of your shoe and the back of your heel. So that might be something worth giving a go as well. If you're new to this scene as well, don't get too caught up on the latest release of shoes. It's a marketing world as well. So you're gonna have to understand that every brand brings out new releases every year. And just like the new releases in any other world, you're gonna pay more for it. So this particular shoe here is an Asics GT 1000. I think I paid about $80 for these because they're a couple of seasons old. They're pretty out there, they're pretty bright, but they're okay, they do the job. My main concern with a pair of running shoes is, will they protect my feet? I've been running in this particular brand of shoe for about 8 or 9 years now and never had a problem, and have run some really solid miles in it. So if it's not broke, I'm not trying to fix it. So save yourself $100-120 by just asking the places that you're shopping for your shoes if they have last season's model. Their role as a salesman is going to be trying to upsell you. The brand's role as a brand is going to be trying to sell you on the latest. Guys, would love to know what's worked for you in the past. What shoes are you running in? Let us know in the comments down here below. Why have you chosen that shoe? Tell us a bit about your foot type, a bit about the comfort of the shoe. Maybe that'll help anyone else who is looking for some particular suggestions.